they love hip hop, they love black culture, but they don't want these black problems. You know what I mean? Like the minute they have to support your cause, or the minute they have to try to understand what you're going through, I mean, they just can't do it. Because at the end of the day, like, even if you try to explain it to them, they don't experience it.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Melanated Files. My name is Ranzo and I'm your host. And today we are in Seoul on a rooftop somewhere. And we're joined by Dametria. We're gonna hear her story today, so let's get into it. Hi Dametria.
Hi.
Alright, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah? Are you cold?
A little, but it's okay. It's been colder, so I'm good. I'm good, actually.
Okay.
It's been colder.
So, do you want to introduce yourself to the world? Tell them who you are and why you did come to South Korea.
Oh, okay. Let's see. So my name is Demetria Pinson. I am 35. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I originally came to Asia in general when I moved to go to Sendai, Japan, actually. I was teaching in Sendai, Japan, maybe for about almost 2 years.
Okay.
And after working there, I loved it. It was an international preschool. It was really great, full immersion English. And I wanted to try to venture out more. I'm actually in the process of trying to find somewhere to settle down in Asia in general. And I was like, I've always wanted to go to Korea. That's another country that I wanted to visit. So I was like, okay, let me get over there. Let me just see what it's like. And I tried to do as much research as possible because you hear the horror stories about, the recruiting companies and everything. So I tried to do as much research as possible. And unfortunately, I still got kind of a bad deal. But it's okay. Since I've been in Korea, I moved here, I think August of this year. And it's been a crazy, different experience, from Japan. Japan, of course, especially Tokyo, has its own, it's a city and it's bustling, so it still has that city feel that I'm used to, like Chicago. But coming to Korea, it's crazy because it feels a lot more westernized than Japan did for me. So, Japan, for some reason, I don't know why, but even when I was in Japan, everything just feels very, very more rooted in their culture. They do a lot more things, at least in my opinion, that connect more to their culture, and the way that they do things and the way that they think, even through basic life. You know what I mean? Everything just still reflects their culture. Not just, the language and seeing their language on billboards and on buildings, but their service, their teaching, their serving in restaurants, just everything still feels really rooted in their culture. Whereas when I got here, I was like, oh, okay, I heard Seoul's awesome, let me go to Seoul. And I'm like, it's Chicago. It's busy. There are clubs and, there's shopping areas and the clothes I can fit, and it still feels like I'm kind of in America, you know what I mean, as far as that aspect. So, but yeah, it's been pretty dope since I've gotten here. I've been here 3 months now.
So you said that you did a lot of research,
Mm-hmm.
but you still found yourself with a company that wasn't too it wasn't a very good company.
Right.
Can you tell us like the thing that you maybe missed out on, something that you misread that caused you to like choose a wrong spot? Was there something that like a red flag that you ignored maybe?
Actually, it's definitely, I would say, my fault. I felt and saw many red flags,
Okay.
but I just disregarded so many of them because I didn't want to just judge and just say, oh, like, no, like maybe I'm just paranoid, or no, like it couldn't be this, it couldn't be that. Starting off originally, I went on the internet and I looked up a high rating type of like group or organization that says that it helps you like find English teaching jobs in Korea. So I was like, okay, cool, like I'll try that one. Their scores were like 95% like ratings, things like that. So I was like, okay, cool, it should be good. Filled in the information, talked to an informative person from the company, and they just like gave me all the information, everything. It was like, okay, so like this is the process and this and that, and like this is what to look forward to. And I was like, okay, everything sounds good, like let's do it. And then the process started, and instead of dealing with the company I originally signed up with, I got bumped to 2 other companies. So I was like, wait. So I pay you the money, but other people are doing the work. Okay, so then I got bumped to another company, and that company, they were, I guess, like the in America base that handled everything as far as like my placing, schools, interviews, like all of that, getting my paperwork together. They helped me with that, and it was really weird. It really made me uncomfortable too, because especially dealing with something important like that, like even if it's your healthcare or housing, like you don't really want to be bounced around to like all these different hands to deal with stuff like that. You would prefer to deal with one person. And I ended up literally being bounced around to 2 other companies, and I was like, okay, who do I address for this? Who do I send my information to for this? Like, who does this? And then I remember asking them, I said, well, what do you guys really do? Like, I'm so confused. Like, if I'm paying you this money, what do you do? You said that you give me on-ground support. You said that I would be guaranteed job placement. You said that you handle pretty much, everything, and you haven't done anything but like kind of suggest like things that I should do, or try to point me in certain directions to like get certain things handled. But it wasn't anywhere where they actually like looked up companies to help me move my stuff, or they actually moved my stuff for me and put it in rotation. I'm like, I don't speak Korean, so I need help. You can't just say, oh, we'll try this Korean company, they do blah, blah, blah. Who's translating? Like, I thought this was your job. I thought you were going to pay to do this. So yeah, the recruiting situation was bad from the beginning. So
you still pushed through it.
Right. So that was a red flag. And I was like, okay, if it's rocky now and I'm really iffy about it. At one point in time, I remember even telling myself like, okay, I don't think I should do it, because if it's like this now, it might be bad when I get there. But I was like, no. Like, I talked to another person, and they were like, oh, well, talk to one of our alums. Like, maybe you'll feel different. And I talked to them, and she was like, hey, like, no, if you have any questions, like, they'll completely help you, and everything is okay. And, don't let maybe, like, one group person that you talk to in Korea, like, make you feel like, like, it's not going to work out. And I was like, okay. And I pushed through anyway. So, got here. The school I thought I was starting at was not the school I was starting at. So I pull up to the school, and I'm like, wait, that's not the school. Mm-hmm. And then I get here, and I was told that I was staying in a studio dorm room. And I was like, studio? Okay, I'm thinking studio. Like, okay, that's big. And it's literally a college dorm room, and it's tiny. So I'm like...
That was where you were living?
Right. That's where I live right now.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay. And I told them before I got there, I was like, so... I'm not a college student. Please remember that. Like, I'm not a college student. I'm 35 years old. I have a full adult apartment right now in Sendai, Japan. I have to move everything out of my apartment into this designated area that you guys have for me if you want me to go here. So is my stuff gonna fit? And needless to say, like, I have 14 boxes in my dorm room. They are all stuffed like into closets and stacked. Nope, I can't fully unpack because I don't have enough room. I got to the school. The school did not do good training, like, at all. It was extremely rushed. From which I hear, like, that definitely happens a lot in job lines. Like, they just kind of throw you in and it's like, there you go. I went from teaching the same class every day to teaching, I think I teach like 7 classes a day. Everybody are different levels. There is really no good designated way that they assign these children to these classes, really. It really kind of just depends on what the parents want. So if parents feel like, no, I want my child to be at a higher level, you know, they push for it and they just to accommodate the parents. Meanwhile, the child suffers in class because she can't or he can't do that capability of work. You know what I mean? Right, they're not there yet. And then you see them in class and you feel bad for them because they're struggling, you know. And my school, unfortunately, is like kind of like a cram school for English. So these children, you know, which is kind of a thing in Asia in general, these Asian countries where, you know, these kids go to school all day and then after they get out of school, they have to go to these cram schools and they have to study. So then these children are like falling asleep in class, or they're like, you know, and you feel bad for them, or they're like, they have no patience because they just spent all day in school. So then the behavior is bad. And of course the school doesn't want me to discipline at all either. So then it's like, well, my class is ruly. What do I do? You know, so then you have some good children who love it, but they're not learning. You know, so it's a lot. It is. It's a lot. Like, it's crazy. I finally got to the point where I reached my 3-month mark, and the school was like, so do you want to, you know, stay the full year, or do you want to, like, you know, like, or do you want to try to find something else? You know, and I was like, I'm not sure yet. Let me think about it. And I said, well, let me ask you this first. If I decide to leave, you know, and not do the full year, do I have to leave immediately, or are you going to give me time to find a job? And they were like, oh, no, of course, you know, like, you have time to find a job, like, you don't have to leave immediately. And I was like, okay. So I thought about it, and again, like, I weighed my options, and, you know, there's a type of teaching that I want to do, and there's also a type of lifestyle that I want to, as far as not more so just like vacation, like partying or having like expensive things, but I would like my own space. I want the ability to have my own apartment. They won't let me do it. They said I have to stay in the dorm, and I want to be able to go home at least once every 2 years to see my family. I'm the only child, and then it's just my mother. So my father passed away my senior year of high school, so it's just been me and her, you know, and she's like my best friend. And I'm like, yo, if I can't go home to see her at least every 2 years, then, you know, I just can't do it. And we can only take off, our only days that we can take off are Fridays.
And is this like for the hug ones?
At least just for mine.
So only Fridays?
Only on a Friday.
So one day, like, how does it work in terms of vacation days?
Right, so I have 10 vacation days, and I have 3 sick days. And when I want to take off, I can only request off on a Friday. I can't request off any other day during the week. So that only leaves you with, like, 3 days? Friday, Saturday, Sunday? To, like, do stuff. You know what I mean? Unless it's a holiday, and then you have longer. So, like, I have a holiday coming up, thank God, in January. And then I can go home. But I was like, 3 days? I'm sorry, I live in America. Like, that's not long enough, you know, for me to be able to make it home and come back. I would literally be there for 1 day, and I would have to turn around and come back. Journey. Right, exactly. Like, you have to count 1 full day of travel. So I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I can't.
So do you think it's worth it for people to come here and teach and stuff like that? What do you think? At least there's some in the beginning stages still. But
yeah.
What do you think with all the? What do you think?
I think it's true. Like, some people were telling me, but I didn't understand how true the statement was. So I was told originally, like, teaching in Korea is a gamble. Because finding a good school is like playing the lottery.
So it's all about the school that you're placed in.
It is. It's definitely all about the school that you're placed at. If you're placed at a good school that has like good benefits, good vacation, good pay, all of that, like you've hit the lottery. You know what I mean? Most Hagwons are crappy because they're private schools and there are really no rules that they have to abide by, like public schools, to like kind of protect you and to, you know, like give you benefits or, you know, the things that you need. And they don't really have rules to follow when it comes to handling you really either. So like in my situation, they said that they were going to give me time, and after finding out that I wasn't going to stay, they literally hired my replacement from the recruiting company that hired me.
Wow.
They literally hired my replacement within a week. So she's starting literally, I think like, she's starting in 2 weeks now. So now they're saying like, oh, you gotta go. And I'm like, okay, but I haven't found a job yet. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I either have two choices. I have to push myself and just go into any Hagwon and make sure I have somewhere to stay, which is probably throwing me back into, it might possibly be greater possibility of being a worse situation, or I have to go back home. So I'm hustling, I'm doing my best, you know, to try to go about this a smarter way. I'm trying to actually find people who are in these schools who like their schools. If they like their schools, then I'm like, okay, let me try to get into yours. But the whole like, oh, this school is hiring, that school is hiring, this school is hiring, like that's a sure way to kind of just, you know, reach your hand into the box and pull out a monster and just be like, oh God, no, like I don't want that one.
So what's your ambition for life? Or Asia overall, going forward, maybe 5 years from now? Where do you see yourself? What would it be? Like, what do you want to achieve?
It's crazy, but it's oh so simple. It really is. I just want stability. I really do. Like I really want stability. I want a career that I love, and I want to be able to know that my bills are paid, I can afford to have a comfortable life, I can afford to financially help family like that I love, you know, I can be able to support myself and have the freedom to be able to pursue my dreams without worrying about financial burden. Unfortunately, like when I was staying at home in Chicago, my career path was veterinary medicine. I originally went to college for animal science. So I was working like in animal science field like for many years. And I love it. I do. Like I love nurturing jobs. So whether it's working with animals, teaching children, or working like with the elderly or disabled, because I did that in college too. I love it. Like those are my passions, I think. Jobs where I'm nurturing people or nurturing things. You know what I mean? So, but unfortunately in Chicago, or just in general, those jobs don't really pay a lot. They don't really, especially in Chicago, like animal veterinarian assistants or technicians, we really don't make enough to be able to live on our own. So you either have to have a boyfriend, stay with a friend, or stay with a parent, and who wants to do that like for the rest of their lives? If you have a boyfriend or a significant other, then that's different, of course. But like I'm 35, I don't want to live with my mother for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So that's my biggest goal, is like I want stability. I want to be able to support myself. I want to be able to have a life that I'm comfortable living and knowing I have the freedom to be able to do what I want without feeling financial burden. You know what I mean? And I'm not in debt. Like since I've come to like Asia, like literally Japan and Korea, I've been able to pay off the little debt that I had. So literally the only big debt I have are those good old Sally Mae loans. So, but other than that, like that's it, you know? So, and it's been a blessing, you know, since I've been here. Like I can travel more now, you know, and if my mom or somebody needs money, like, or if a friend needs money because she's like in a really bad, you know, situation, like I can send them money. I can still take care of myself and I can live my life and have fun, you know. So
What motivated you to make the move from Chicago to what was the motivation?
it's so crazy. So it was like multiple things. Originally growing up, like I was always introduced to other cultures, especially in Chicago, because we have so many different cultures. Like in Chicago, it's insane. And museums, everything. So all of those things and those outlets, my mom pushed me into. You know, like learn this, learn that, learn this, learn that. And I remember my first interest in language was Egyptian hieroglyphs. So I was like, yo, like studying language is kind of fun. So I started doing that. Then I went on to like studying Japanese, and then I went on to like studying like a little bit of Chinese and Spanish. And so literally like that's another one of my goals. By the time I am 40, I want to be able to speak at least 4 languages. So right now I speak, of course, English, but Japanese, very little Korean, and I'm studying Portuguese. Yeah. So those are my goals. So I was like, yo, and I love traveling. So I was like, in a career, I had a lab job, and I was working nights, and the pay was awesome, but I was working nights, and I still couldn't like afford to have my own place in Chicago because it was so expensive. And I was like, okay, I gotta do something else. I gotta make a move. And I remember I was like, let me pursue my language more. Because I had gotten to the point where I was kind of, starting to get depressed and that's kind of easy to do. I feel like around people our age, you have certain goals set for yourself when you're younger, or even like in your 20s, and you're like, yo, by the time I'm this age, I want to be able to have this, and I want to be able to do that, and I should be here. And then life hits you, and it's like, yeah, that didn't happen. so now you're like, okay, what do I do now? So I was like, okay, I don't want to do this 9 to 5 for the rest of my life. I'm not really happy doing it. What else can I do? And I was just like, God, I just throw my hands up, lead me where you feel like I need to go. Because every time I try a new career path, it just falls through. I don't know what to do. I'm searching for other jobs, I'm searching for other things to do, and it's just not working, and I don't know. So I was like, hey, you like studying languages, let me do that. So I started studying more. And then I got more serious about it. So I was like, okay, let me go to this country to see if I can study in the country and see what that's like. So I left my job. I quit my job, actually, because they didn't want me to go. And I quit my job, and I studied Japanese for 4 months in Shibuya. I was living in Yokohama, staying with my host family. And I started studying, and I was like, yo, okay, this is nice. I'm digging this. I can do it. I love Japan. Like, I'm cool. Like, the culture is laid back. It's cool. Like, people don't bother me. Like, I can go about my business and, live my life, do me, and it's cool. Okay, I'm liking this. And then I remember, like, trying to watch, like, do a lot of research, too, about what is it like, especially for, Black people living in Asia. And I was, you're going to laugh. I was searching, and I saw your channel.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, okay, let me watch these. So I watched one, and then I watched another one, and then I watched another one. I was like, oh, this is great. So actually, that was probably another thing that like pushed me to go, was like your channel, because I was watching videos of like all these different people and listening to their experiences. And I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. So I knew like what to think and expect coming into the situation too now, because I had prepared myself, done the research, and then like again, like your videos really helped because I could hear other people's perspectives. So I knew like, okay, that could possibly happen. So let me just be ready for it. Like, don't go into it with expectations, but just be ready for whatever.
Y'all hear that? Okay.
It's so true. So I was just like, okay, I'm good. And I got there, and it was cool. Like, it took some adjusting, like at first, because of course you're coming from Chicago and you're like, oh, I just want something to do. I want something to do. I always want to be busy, because I was placed in Sendai, and Sendai isn't as busy, but the older you get, you kind of want to chill. So I realized now, like, oh, it was good. It was a good fit for me. So yeah, that's originally what got me.
Okay. What's the biggest lesson you've learned so far, or do you have a philosophy that you lead on?
A a couple. One of them is definitely go with the flow of life. We have a tendency to really want what we want and push, and at the end of the day, you gotta, whether you believe in God or not, you just kind of have to understand that everything is not going to work out sometimes the way you plan it. And you have to be okay with that. And you have to be able to just go with the flow and be flexible. And sometimes literally just saying, screw it. I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to wait and be patient and just see what comes. And be willing to jump on stuff like when it happens. I was always kind of an introvert, and I stay in my head, and I kind of overthink things sometimes too. And it's easy to sit there and just be like, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? Like, if that happens, what do I do next? And so it's really, really good to just let life happen, man. Like literally just kind of go with the flow and be okay with whatever comes, and just know, like, as long as you're determined to just get through it, whatever comes, like life usually just will work itself out on its own. That's definitely one thing.
Any advice? Is there any advice that you would like to share with other people who are, because I receive a lot of messages.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are thinking about coming and traveling and all of this stuff, right? So is there any advice that you can actually share with them that can maybe make their transition a little bit easier? Anything you've learned?
Let's see. Definitely one of the things that is an asset just when traveling, period, don't expect anything to be like how it is at home. It's really easy to, again, want what you want. And life just does not work that way. It just doesn't. It's like, if I haven't learned anything else the older I've gotten, life just does not work that way. As people, we want what we want. Oh, but this has to be that way. This has to be that way. And you kind of learn, like, all these different countries, like, yes, they are different, but things work for them though. And I think, like, can you imagine if country leaders were able to come together and say, okay, like, that works in your country, that don't work in my country. How does that work in your country? Let me figure that out to see if I can make that work that way. Like, come into it literally, you have to have an open mind. You literally have to have an open mind. Now, open has, like, some potential borders too. Like, don't be so open where you just let the country just do whatever you want with you and just mix you in a pot and just do whatever. But be willing to experience some new things. Still have your own backbone and your own morals, your own boundaries, but still be able to maybe try new foods, maybe try new activities, maybe be willing to actually look into the culture or the history to see why they think that way. Even if you feel like, no, it's backwards, or no, it's wrong, because every other country probably thinks the same way about your country. But it's like, be willing to just kind of look behind the scenes with a lot of stuff, And then some stuff too, like whatever it is, just take it for face value. Like, don't just let everything change you. If you meet something or something comes at you and you're like, yo, that's not what I'm about, just be like, okay, that's not what I'm about, it's cool, but do you. Like, it works for you, it's cool. Like, don't go into it judgmental. Be willing to experience new things. Do your research, literally. Even if your research wasn't good enough, still do it. It doesn't mean just don't do it. Do your research. And literally, I want to say word of mouth is just good advertisement, period. So whether it be for a good job, whether it be for a good doctor, whether it be for, anything, try to talk to people or find people who like their location. You know what I mean? Because it is like coming here, it's like pulling the lottery. So you may get some good stuff, you may not get some good stuff. So yeah, and I hear the same thing, like even about public schools. Some people love public schools, And I've seen YouTube videos or blogs where some people are just like, oh God, like I hate my school, or I hate Epic, or but some people love it.
I guess you got to be open to the experience.
You do.
It's like I'm going there. It might be this. It might be this. I'll go and then see what I get, and then I work with it.
Exactly.
Leave it or whatever,
Exactly.
Right?
And that's what I mean. Like, have no expectations. And that's a lot of times in life where we screw ourselves up with everything. Having expectations. Just don't have any expectations. Literally go into it knowing that it could go either way, but be okay if it goes either way, and try to have a plan if it goes either way.
I would say to have prepare for the best, or hope for the best, but have a contingency just in case, right? And try to bring some optimism to what's at hand. Right?
Absolutely.
So tell me about your Black experience in South Korea and Japan. What has it been like?
In Japan, it's kind of really funny. Like, I think maybe because there are more and more foreigners coming, they're used to seeing you, so you don't really feel like you stand out.
Sendai as well?
Now, Sendai was different, because they don't really have as many foreigners. So when they see you, of course, like, I was stared at all the time, and I was not used to that. And as I was saying, like, I'm an introvert. So I don't like the spotlight when I hate being the center of attention, like, especially for a group of people. So for me, I'm trying to fight to overcome like those obstacles and just roll through it. But yeah, like Sendai, I was staring at every day. But as far as feeling different or kind of being like treated differently because I was Black, I didn't really experience that. Yeah, which was a blessing. Yeah, I never felt like my color was a reason, like something didn't happen, or I didn't really experience things like that. I mean, every foreigner experiences, the no sit next to the foreigner policy on the like public transportation.
It's like an initiation thing.
Right, exactly. It's like, oh no. Like, you kind of expect that, like, as an automatic. It's like, yeah, that seat's full. You just put your bag next to it. It's like, nobody's going to sit next to it.
Right? What about South Korea?
South Korea, it's really funny. In Japan, of course, like, they love hip-hop, so they love our music. In Korea, it's like pop music, hip-hop everywhere. Like, you just hear, especially rapping, especially hip-hop. Hip-hop is so big here, it's ridiculous. I don't feel, it was funny because when you go into environments where they're celebrating your culture, I felt more welcomed, like in Japan. Whereas, like, when I go into places, like, and I hear hip hop, or like I'm celebrating my culture, they just kind of like don't acknowledge it. I just kind of felt like it kind of feels like you're kind of at home, like it's a normal thing for them. You know what I mean? Like, okay, it's part of the culture, of course. Like, hip hop is big at home. You know what I mean? But when you come to Korea, it actually kind of feels a little weird that you're not acknowledged or kind of seen. It's not like I created hip hop, but they have a tendency to kind of, the minute a hip hop song comes on, it's like, oh, Black person. It's like, yeah, you know what I mean? And you come here and you don't experience that. And I don't know if that's because they hear hip hop all the time.
The difference between Japan and here.
Yeah.
Because in Japan they say, oh.
Right.
And then here they don't do it.
Right. It's like Tupac comes on the radio and they're like, yeah, Tupac. Like, and they immediately look at you and it's like, yeah, Tupac. But here it's like, it's hip hop everywhere. And they hear it and they're just like, oh yeah, it's an everyday thing. It's like, but again, I remember like one young lady, she had said the same thing in one of your videos where they love hip hop, they love Black culture, but they don't want these Black problems. You know what I mean? Like, the minute they have to support your cause, or the minute they have to try to understand what you're going through, I mean, they just can't do it. Because at the end of the day, like, even if you try to explain it to them, they don't experience it. They don't experience what those hard hip hop lyrics are about. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to understand the history behind it because they don't have to experience it here in their culture, in their own culture.
It's purely entertainment.
Exactly. It's pure entertainment for them. And for us, it's culture. It's a lifestyle.
It's an experience.
It is. It's an experience. It's a lifestyle. These people are talking about their struggles in the hood. You know, like even trap music. Like, yeah, they're not gonna get it. You know. So it's like you come here. I see it. It irritates me a little bit. You know, because you see like these hip hop artists like come out. At least for me, these hip hop artists come out and they love like certain rappers or like certain old school hip hop rappers, but they don't work with any black people. And it's not like we're not here, we're here. But they don't take the initiative to try to connect, to work with a black artist. They don't take the initiative, you know, to talk to us. And it's like, that kind of has always had an effect on the music that I listen to too here, as far as like Korean artists. I feel like if you love my music, or you love my culture's music, or you love my culture, that should affect also your circle of people that you surround yourself with. That should affect your lifestyle as well. So you should be able to work with black artists, you know, and a lot of them just don't. Even some of like the really great like Korean artists that are here, like a lot of really, really popular ones. You look back over history and you're like, how many black artists have you worked with? You know, but it's like, but yeah, you see it, you experience it, but it is what it is.
Is there any way that you think that gap could be bridged in terms of maybe connecting both cultures, like because there clearly is like a sort of like chasm or something. Is there a way that it could be bridged? Is there any ideas that you have in your mind that you think, well, maybe if we did this, or it's just maybe just time, really just working out solution?
Well, that's the funny part about it. I feel like it has to do with people's mentalities as far as both cultures go. I don't think Korean people know much of African culture in general. Just because, of course, like it's not many of us here, but there's no real need or desire for them to have to go out and really find out information about our culture, because it's not many of us here, maybe. You know what I mean? Everything they need is like right here, and it's supplied by their own people. Whereas like in America, if we have like our own certain things, like even if it's food, like our own cultural food, you have to go to that culture or that place in order to get it. You know what I mean? Or experience it. Hip hop in general is just a worldwide thing. It's so big, more than just one country. But I think it would start off with the individual and the individual culture, just wanting to branch out and wanting to get to know about other cultures in general. Whereas you just kind of see where these other countries, like of course, it's only them. So they don't really have the necessity for real to really know. If there's not a necessity, there's not really going to be a desire either, you know, to follow it, to branch out, to learn about other cultures. So they're kind of like, well, why? We have everything we need. You know what I mean? So that would be the first step. They would have to instill the desire to even want to know more about us, you know. And maybe part of that will come from changing what they see on the media or changing what they see about us, you know, in general. You know, we are not all from the ghetto. We are not all criminals, you know. We are educated. We are well-spoken. We are successful. We are creative. We are all these amazing things. You know what I mean? And they have to have the desire to want to get to know us and to get closer to us and just be able to break away from stigmas, you know, and past views that they have of us. So I think that's where it would start, yeah.
What's something that you would say that you're really good at?
Ooh, something I'm really good at, it sounds really silly, but probably caring. Like I said, like I love fields or doing things where I'm nurturing something. So when I pick those type of fields or I'm doing those type of activities, I feel like I just kind of shine like a lot brighter when I do those things. I enjoy caring for my friends. I enjoy helping others. I enjoy honestly seeing other people winning. So if I can push people, to just accomplish their goals or help them along the way, like that I like seeing people happy. So if you can just help people do that, like that,
It's a joy.
yeah, it does. It really does. I like the look in people's eyes when they're just like, yeah, I got it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I can finally do it. Like, I love that. And to know that even if I was a part of that even a little bit, it just makes me feel proud of myself too. Like, it's like you always in the world, especially when you're traveling, you feel so small because then you're like, geez, this world is big.
It is.
And you just to see that you even have a little impact, that's enough. Because it just gets the ball rolling for greater things. So yeah, that's one thing I think I can do.
Okay. In terms of the Black people movement, what are maybe one or two things that you think we need to work on as a people, or something that you think we could do to advance our position, meaning to occupy a better place in the world? Because we, as Black people, we know what we go through in different countries. What do you think we could do to move forward in your mind, based on your observation?
Man, community. And that's even for at home, and that's even for being in other countries in general. I really see how we are really a force to reckon with when we come together. And we are not easily separated and segregated. When we come together and we make stuff happen, it's not even just mediocre happen. Like, it's big happen. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing. It has flavor. Like, it's awesome. And I feel like a good concrete base for that is community. We have to be able to come together, put like, she winning but I'm not winning, or he's winning but I'm not winning type of attitude to the side. Because if your brother or your sister is winning, it's a win. Also, we have to be able to, and that might be just a personal growth thing too, be okay with people checking you. A lot of times we're not okay. And again, like, I'm nowhere perfect, so sometimes this is, something I definitely have to work on too. But that comes with having a good community. If you find people who you trust, you're more willing for people to check you when you're in the wrong or when you slip it. When you're excelling and you have people to trust that can push you and be like, yo, like, that was good, but what's wrong? Like, you seem like you were kind of off today, or ooh, girl, you shouldn't have done that, or dude, that wasn't right. If you're okay and you have people you trust to check you, that's good. And then be checkable. Just don't have the attitude or the persona that nobody can check you or talk to you, because that's just gonna stunt your growth as an individual, as an African American, like as an African person in general. Like, if we could come together as a community and support each other and respect each other's weaknesses, as well as build and push each other's strengths, we would be amazing wherever we were. Can you imagine, like, if all like the Black people in Japan, or all the Black people in Korea, or all the Black people, let alone in America, man, came together as one? Like, you work on your healing, you work on like your transparency, you work on yourself, but you come together and you support each other and understand, like, yo, you struggling, I'm struggling too, we in the same boat, but we gonna push through this and try to feed each other that positivity that you need to just stay together as a community and be stronger. Yo, we would be amazing. We would be amazing.
We gotta do it.
Ooh, yeah, we have to. We have to support each other. man, feed each other that positivity, that they need. And if you see your brother or sister slipping, like, be willing to help. Not have that mentality where it's like, oh, well, that's them. No. If she or he winning, you winning. You are winning. What do you mean? Like, it can't be an individual thing. That's what the world wants, to segregate us, keep us separately. It's keep us separate, don't have us winning. If we come together, we are winning, I promise. I promise we are.
Where can people find you?
I have Instagram. It's DSMP84 on Instagram. Yeah, and I'm on there a lot, so that's the main page that I use.
So guys, there you have it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and remember to subscribe to this channel for weekly videos on the Black experience across the globe. Until next time, bye for now.